I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Let me handle my business, damn. Kanye's, you got me, Freeway and Foxy, YG's, Pierre Marie, PD, watch me. Bleak could be one hit away his whole career. As long as I'm alive, he's a millionaire.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Megan Shepherd. It's great to have you with us. Topping news, the business community on Grands Bahama voicing concerns today about the government's proposed value-added tax to be implemented next year. Apart from government tightening its belt to collect outstanding revenue, business owners are suggesting other ways for government to generate more income as Grand Bahama's economy continues to struggle. Charisma Robinson reports.
Last week, the Ministry of Finance released the much-anticipated first draft of the value-added tax bill and regulations. But here in Grand Bahama, the business community is still looking to the government for answers on this proposed tax system, which many of them say they are not prepared for. General Manager of Microtech Sales and Services Dennis Knowles sees the proposed implementation of VAT as disastrous for this island.
If we had a choice, I would not agree with the VAT. I think that there are some better options out there. And there was a topic on a talk show recently about a hybrid, which I think is a great idea. But up front, at the stage that the Grand Bahama economy is in, for the government to try and increase the cost of living by another 20%, I think that's going to be disastrous. I think the timing on that is absolutely horrible. My question is, if there is a shortfall of $400 billion in our economy, and VAT is only going to bring in $200 million, I don't see how that adds up.
Human Resources consultant Donald Glass agrees with Knowles to a certain extent, but he says he understands why the government is proposing this tax system.
I understand what the government is trying to do, because the Prime Minister just the other day indicated at a session that the country needs revenue. And so he actually has appealed to the general public to bring information regarding VAT. And I think that at least it's a first step towards trying to generate some sort of income, revenue, sorry. The challenge, though, is at a time like this, it is rather challenging in terms of the economy. But I think what the government needs to do is to have more consultation, if there can be more meetings with the public. We've had one or two meetings, but there are individuals, for example, the Chambers had discussions on it, and I know that the Rotary's had discussions on it as well. So we need to have more of that. But I think also in giving the details so that the public will understand the details of what VAT is all about and how it really affects them.
The Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce has had a few meetings on the implementation of that and its possible impact on Grand Bahama businesses, particularly those that fall under the Grand Bahama Port Authority.
We have, as I said, we have had a lot of internal discussion. We are, in fact, right now still engaged in such discussion in the context of other tax issues that we are dealing with here in the port area.
President Barry Malcolm says a 15% tax is too high. He says before anything can happen on Grand Bahama, there needs to be more consultation on the part of the government.
There needs to be some consideration as to really what should be the quantum of taxes. Should it be 15%? May it not be something smaller like 8%? A third consideration is implementation over a longer period of time. The push to do everything by the 15th the 1st of July, is likely to continue to create pushback if more time were allowed. I think you would find that there'd be less hysteria and more openness to discussion and considerations in and around that.
Now we can expect to hear more from the Chamber now that the first draft of the VAT bill has been released. Mr. Malcolm says the Chamber will release its official position on VAT and its recommendations to the government early next year. Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
A joint effort between the Department of Immigration, Bahamas Customs, and police apprehending some 17 illegal migrants on Grand Bahama. Senior immigration officer in the Enforcement and Deportation Unit, Jerome Hutchinson, telling ZNS News that the migrants were found at various locations on the island.
Last evening we conducted a search of several residences in the Boodle Bay and Freeport area. Combined effort resulted in the arrest of 17 individuals, including several Haitian nationals, Brazilian nationals, Jamaican nationals, and one individual from Trinidad.
Hutchinson is reminding the public to remain vigilant and to alert the Department of Immigration if they believe something is suspicious. The 17 migrants were transported to the nation's capital this afternoon.
We had 4 females in the group. One of them is a minor, but she was taken in on an unrelated matter earlier yesterday. Right now, we're seeing these individuals out to the detention center in Nassau, where our officers there would then process them and repatriate them back to their homes.
Grand Bahama Christian Council President Bishop Arnold Pinder commenting on the state of crime in the country. He says the Bahamas is approaching crisis mode when it comes to crime, and pastors nationwide must break out of the 4 walls and intervene. Charisma Robinson has the story.
For the 3rd year, the country's murder count has topped triple digits, with the nation's capital seeing a surge in bloodshed on its streets despite amped-up efforts by the government and the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Incidents of domestic violence have also made headlines recently, the latest happening right here in Grand Bahama last week, where a young woman was allegedly stabbed by a man who was in turn shot and killed by police. President of the Grand Bahama Christian Council, Bishop Arnold Pinder, sees this as a turning point for the country.
Obviously, the Bahamas need a healing. People are seeking, people are praying. Now it is time to turn to God. We oppose the spirit of murder. This is a small country with 350,000 people. And the way we're going now, we soon be down to 200,000.
Bishop Pinder says this situation can no longer be blamed on the lack of jobs.
We as a nation, our forefathers, our parents, our grandparents, they trusted God. So the Bahamas need to go back to trusting God. The murder rate, the crime, it must come down. It must stop. Every one person that is killed, it separates the family. Those who are doing the killing, they are destroying their own family.
The Grand Bahama Christian Council leader says while some efforts are being made by some churches to reach out, not enough is being done, and it's time for pastors nationwide to walk the streets and minister to our young men and women.
We like to stay within the 4 walls and the party pews and their condition, but it's time now for us to get dirty. My request to the churches, to the pastors, don't wait for things to happen. We should be always praying, always fighting against the force of the enemy. The Bible said, Luke 18:1, that man ought to always to pray. Okay? And so, as a Christian nation, the Christian Council failed and doing more outreach. The pastors failed and doing more outreach. So that should be the top thing on our agenda, to reach out.
Bishop Pinder says his ministry will continue to do its part when it comes to outreach, but he wants to see all aspects of society seek God's guidance in this fight against crime. Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition continues after this.